Good morning, Coal Canyon Coyotes. Welcome to Friday Flag Video. Whether you are a student or a staff member, we appreciate you tuning in each week. We hope our pre-recorded video features interesting and helpful information to you as a Coal Canyon student or honored staff member. Our first live Friday Flag will be Friday, September 1st, and we have a live performance by our Coyote Choir, and we'll honor our families who serve our country. Also, keep collecting those hero tickets out there on campus because you could win a fun prize for your class or your grade level. Exciting stuff. So let's begin our Friday Flag video with the Pledge of Allegiance, shall we? Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Hey guys and girls, just a reminder, please invite your dads, stepdads, grandfathers to our Watchdogs kickoff night. That's next Tuesday in our NPR at 5 p.m. You can come too. We have ordered ice cream sandwiches for those in attendance. Now we have Dr. Wheeler, our assistant principal, here to speak to you about one of our important student expectations. Go ahead, Dr. Wheeler.
Good morning, Coyotes. It's Dr. Wheeler, one of your assistant principals here at Coal Canyon. Today, I'm actually going to re-review the behavior expectation that I went over last week because it is that important. So one important expectation here at Coal Canyon is CAFUTI, keeping all hands, feet, and other objects to ourselves. I want you all to consider two different scenarios where it might be challenging, but it's really important to remember this expectation. Both have to do with the playground. So the first scenario, you're on the playground, you're having fun with your friends, okay? Maybe you're playing basketball or you're playing wall ball and you're having fun. It is still very important to keep your hands and feet and all other objects to yourself, even if you are just playing around. First of all, your friend might not appreciate it. And second of all, what if someone sees you and doesn't realize you're joking, okay? And then they have to tell a trusted adult, which they always should, and we don't want that to happen. So even when you're having fun on the playground, please remember this expectation. And then secondly, also on the playground as my example, let's say you are playing wall ball and you get out, but you don't agree that you're out and you're frustrated. Even in moments where you are very frustrated or you disagree with others, that is the most important time, because that's the hardest time sometimes, to remember this expectation, okay? It is never okay. There is never a scenario here where it's okay to put your hands or feet or other objects towards someone else. Please always think about the golden rule, which is to treat others how you would like to be treated. Now we have Mr. Zanartu, our school counselor, with a special message. Take it away, Mr. Zanartu.
Thank you, Dr. Wheeler. Good morning, Coyotes. Now, there are many jobs here at Coal Canyon Elementary School, but today I want to talk to you a little bit about my job and how I can support you. I am your school counselor, and my job is really to help you feel happy and safe at school. I'm a person whose job it is to listen to your thoughts, your feelings, just like you would talk to a trusted adult or friends and family. So imagine that you're going through your day, you're feeling a little bit worried about a test, making friends, or you're just struggling with a personal problem, and it's hard to find someone to help. A school counselor, like me, is here to chat with you about all those things. And I'll do my best to help you solve that problem and hopefully make things better. So if you ever have a question or you want to talk about something, how do you find me? Well, I have a new location. It's right over by the buddy bench across from Mr. Brillius' room. Look for that electronic board or marquee that says Mr. Zanartu's office. If I'm not in my office or I'm busy, just ask a teacher and they'll get in contact with me so we can schedule time to talk. If you're not ready, that's okay too, because I do come to the class every few months to talk about good choices, feelings, and our future. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I hope that being a support for you makes school fun and make an even cooler place to learn. So hey, when you see me, don't be a stranger. Now it's time for Mrs. Lane, our assistant principal, to make our weekly Howley's Heroes of the Week announcement. Take it away, Miss Lane.
Good morning, staff and students. Here we go with our grade levels who have earned the hero shout out from his or her teacher. These students, remember, have shown what it means to be a hero, to be helpful, encouraging, respectful, and outstanding in class. So here we go. Beginning with our kindergartners. From Miss Amkraut's class, we have Olive and Ethan. From Mrs. Miller, we have Lila and Hadley. And from Miss Gorton, we have Hazel. From our first graders, from Mrs. Cron's class, we have Kaden. From Mrs. Moret's class, Addie, Mrs. Murray, Jace. From Mrs. Espinosa's class, we have Benjamin. And from Mrs. Stringer's class, we have Olivia. And rounding out our first graders from Mr. Reagan's class, we have Ella. Moving on to our second graders. From Mrs. Teresa's class, we have Levi. From Mrs. Manzella's class, we have Mateo. From Miss Silva's class, we have James. From Mrs. Garrity, we have Tiger. From Mrs. Gonzalez, Emma. And from Mrs. Schott's class, we have Levon. And last but not least, for our second graders, from Mrs. Casey's class, we have Maddie. Next up, we have our third graders. From Mrs. Tope's class, we have Addison. From Mrs. Hess, Michaela. From Mrs. Hewitson, Andrew. From Mrs. De Leon, we have Jace. From Mrs. Levin, June. And from Mrs. Welch, we have Josie. And finally, for our third graders, from Mrs. Hartley's class, we have Yvonne. Next up, for our fourth graders, for Mrs. Murray, we have Aiden Furlong. From Mrs. Calvillo Murray, we have Brielle. Mr. Pacey, Jane. Mrs. Vanderboom, we have Christian. From Mrs. Schroeder's class, we have Owen. From Mrs. Trujillo, we have Daniel. And finally, for our fourth graders, from Mrs. Ariano's class, we have Elijah. And last up are our fifth graders. From Mrs. Hemrick's class, we have Parker. From Mrs. Bryan's class, we have Lily R. From Miss Bethke's class, we have Leslie. From Mrs. Greenstein's, Billy. And finally, to round us all out, from Mrs. Reagan's class, we have Alvaro. Congratulations to all of you that earned this weekly shout out. To round us out and lead us out, please welcome back Mr. Shaw.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Lane. Professional, all of you. Thank you so much. Great messages there and lots of shout outs. So we're so very proud of all of you and your efforts to be heroes out on this campus and in your classroom. We hope that these Friday Flag videos encourage you to make those good choices, model appropriate behavior at all times, and be part of this dynamic community of learners. So we appreciate all you do. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care, and we will see you on Monday.